Putting an End to Cyberbullying by me, Parker Campbell. Social media has become a monumental movement in our society today. Since the introduction of the first social media application in 1997, which was 6 Degrees, social media's popularity has skyrocketed in our world today and is still growing. According to Christina Newberry, an author and expert on family dynamics, 3.48 billion people now use social media. That is an increase of 9% from last year. So even though social media's popularity was already massive, it is still growing in our world today. Now with social media, many of its platforms offer an anonymity factor. This basically means that people can share, post, comment, and interact with other people anonymously. Nick Morpus, a tech expert at Captura, states that 33% of students between the ages of 12 and 17 have been victims of cyberbullying. So this graph, which is on the top, from Statista, shows how much social media has increased, especially in the past decade, and where it's expected to go in the next few years. The graph on the bottom from Justin W. Patchen of Cyberbullying Research Center synthesizes 10 cyberbullying studies, and the average from these studies show that about 28% of people who were studied have been victims of cyberbullying. So the research question that I came up with from reading the stimulus material was, should the anonymity feature on social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter be banned because of increased amounts of cyberbullying? So the connection that I made was from the first article of the stimulus, which was Social Media and the Movement of Ideas by Edward Kessler. In this article, he talks about some of the negative effects that social media has had on our society. He also talks about anonymity on social media and the internet. He states that anonymity is the refuge for all literary and journalistic rascality, and it is a practice that must be stopped. Although he is not directly talking about social media here, more so journals on the internet, the same concept can be applied when it comes to cyberbullying on social media. Because of anonymity, cyberbullying is much harder to control than traditional bullying. Now in traditional bullying, the culprit is usually easily identified because you can specifically see who is doing it. Now in cyberbullying, many anonymous accounts can say whatever they want easily, and it's almost impossible to identify who they are. Taylor Armendine, a senior InfoSec writer at Synopsys who works at Wheaton College, states that while school districts enact zero-tolerance policies against bullying, technology is making bullying easier and more seductive for teens by promising them anonymity. Now this graph on the right, also from Statista, shows how popular online bullying has become compared to physical bullying, and this number is continuing to grow. Now effects of cyberbullying. Cyberbullying has severely affected the mental health of its victims. Ellen Selke, an MD at the University of Washington, conducted a study on the mental health of victims of cyberbullying. She states that bullies/victims had increased odds of depression and alcohol use. In addition, Boca Zamfir-Mayora, a psychology researcher, states that being involved with cyberbullying has psychological, emotional, and behavioral consequences. So obviously the effects of cyberbullying are very severe and they need to be addressed. Now, why exactly does anonymity cause cyberbullying? Well, because people know that they can anonymously say whatever they want on the internet, they know that there are going to be no consequences for what they say because it is impossible to identify. Now, this graph on the right shows that bullying is the most popular section of percentage of anonymous posts. The main counter-argument to the notion that anonymity on social media should be banned is that even if it is banned, it's one's right to free speech to say whatever they want on social media, and that making it unanonymous wouldn't really change anything. However, many forms of cyberbullying, such as harassment, threats, and others, are considered criminal sanctions in many states. Ruth Carter, an attorney of Ruth Carter Law Firm, states that there can be legal consequences to cyberbullying. So a solution that I have come up with is self-identification on social media. This self-identification can be acted through video identification of a person or requiring a person to put in some information so that when something such as cyberbullying occurs, it is easier to identify what they have done. Some implications of this would be perpetrators of cyberbullying could be identified, and that cyberbullying cases would dramatically decrease. Limitations, however, it would make social media applications harder to use, and many innocent people who didn't do anything wrong would have to give away valuable information about themselves. So in conclusion, cyberbullying is an extremely prevalent and serious problem in our society today. Because of the anonymity factor on social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, it is impossible to reduce cyberbullying. A solution such as self-identification needs to be put in place if we want to end cyberbullying and all the negative effects that come with it. Thank you.